So it's your friend Tierra, also known as TT. And in this video, I want to bring you a question that has been like driving me loco for a little bit. Here it goes. And the question is, why does people who, in a sense, lack something that someone else has end up almost loathing that person? And so that way you guys can understand me a little better. Let me explain. So what I mean is, why does when people see something, like say for instance, someone who, they have a job, they pay their bills, they make do, they make ends meet, they doing them. But they see somebody else come along that just so happened to be getting paid a little bit more than them in their job, or have a little nicer house, because it costs a little bit more, because they got a couple of more square footage, so a couple of more room on the lot, and then the next thing, that person that does not have what the other person has starts to almost like envy another person to the point of like destruction, because it ends up negative. Like envy is negative. You can't make envy a positive thing. However, but they drive themselves crazy. They almost like they'll even not even just they'll drive themselves crazy, but they won't hesitate to motherfucking throw insults on the person. Like they'll try to dismiss, or belittle the person's, achievements. Like you like, that person, they did a lot of hard work to get where they at, and then they're like, man, niggas out there just robbing people, they ain't do nothing. Then they ain't do nothing for us. Why you all in his bone? He ain't putting your money in your pocket. And they always start, they complain, become negative, and it's like, why? Like, it's gotten to the point where I myself has like, I had to sit back and take a look and be like, dang, man, my life is pretty, like, I feel alone. Like, not lonely, but alone. Like, I feel like, my relationship isn't where it used to be with family. The friends that I had, they no longer go. They no longer exist. They're no longer active in my life. So, that tells you that, I have some acquaintances that I keep in contact with here and there, but on the most part, like, I tend to just stick to myself and my spouse. And, every now and then I go see immediate family. But for the most part, I'm a secluded person. And I started to think, like, seclusion, success. And, I watch The Breakfast Club. I watch, some of these pop culture, interviews. And I hear, the different celebrities saying, like, when they ask them their story, because there's always, especially when it comes to a minority, a colored person, there's always like some dramatic backstory. And goes to show you that there is a tremendous amount of us that lives in poverty, but every celebrity always has this traumatic backstory about their impoverished, upbringing, and how when they came into their rap life or their acting life or their sport, athletic life, basketball, football, whatever it is. And they're always like, I had these friends and yada, yada, we was cool, yada, 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 yada. But then when I came up on some money and I got a nicer car, a little better house or whatever, next thing people start saying that I'm acting funny, relationship starts changing. Because now these same people, excuse me while I fix that, but these same people will sit here and they will say negative things about their husband. Like, oh, that person changed. They got a little money and they changed. And it's just like, everyone changed. I mean, you can't move the same as you did when you didn't have nothing versus when you do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's different. But I was just thinking, like, it's true. Like, with success, with increase in finance and stuff like that, some weird stuff starts happening. You, in a sense, start developing haters that you didn't even think you had. And majority of the time, it's not just random stranger people. It's your family, your friends. It's the random stranger people that's like, hey, my guy, you did such an awesome job on on that slam dunk if you're a professional basketball player, like, I love your music if you're the best rapper out here, or if mother freaking 50 Cent, or successful black person, not Oprah, somebody out here, you running a nice real estate business, oh my God, my gal, you're doing your thing, you making moves, you got a better education, got in a nicer place, and you're doing good for yourself. That's what you expect, but that's not always that's not what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was just thinking, like, dang, in my life, like, God, I won't even minimize it. Like, God has brought me through, he brought me a long way. You know what I'm saying? Where I came up in a working class household, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm moving up in mobility, and I think that's nice. I've acquired a bachelor's degree, an associate's and bachelor's degree, associates in criminal justice, bachelor in criminal justice, major psych minor, and currently working on a master's degree in criminal justice, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that I think that I'm better than the next person. I want to be better than the version of me years ago. The Tiara now is more knowledgeable and more informed than the Tiara from like 5 years ago, which I think is awesome. Growth is great. I love education. I'm going to go to school. You know what I'm saying? And with school, I want better. I didn't have this growing up. Nothing against my parents, Every generation is supposed to set up the foundation for the generation to come. You know what I'm saying? And that's what my parents did. They were a little better than their parents were. And their parents were a little better than their parents were. Every generation, it gets a little better. And I wanted to get it to where when my kids come around, they don't have to experience what I experienced. There's a whole new experience. And then they go off of that. And that's the foundation of starting something on when their kids come along. You see what I'm saying? But you have people who out here who don't see it like that. They see it as like, oh, you going to school. You think you better than me. You got a little extra money. You living out in the burbs, in the country, or in a bigger house. You own your house. You doing a little better than me. And then people start to develop these you doing better, you think you better than me mentality. And then what gets me is when they force that junk onto you. Like, you think you better than me. No, nigga. You think I think I'm better than you. What it boils down to is that you think I'm better than you. You just deflecting it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think nothing. All I think on this matter in regards to me and bettering me is I want to better me. So I'm going to continue to do that regardless of how you feel and the things that you say. I'm not going to minimize my life, minimize my dreams and limit myself because you're not happy. You know what I'm saying? And this is some things that I have dealt with in the past from friends and from family where, I can't even bring up a conversation. Like, for instance, I'll talk about college. And this blows my mind. This pisses me off even more. So I'm talking about college with people. And the conversation came up and I'm just talking about how, like, I had a culture shock in starting my master's program, right? So the school that I'm attending right now is Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, obviously, RIT. And it's a privately owned school. The schools that I went to previously were not privately owned schools. I went to the College of Brockport, and I went to Monroe Community College. And even those experiences with culture shocks to me, because keep in mind, I am first generation to go to college in my family. Nothing against my parents, nothing against my grandparents, nothing against my great-grandparents, and so on. But they didn't go to college. I did. I have some cousins that, attended college, but in my immediate family, my immediate, tree line, first one. And not in a boasting way, just putting it out there. However, I had some culture shocks, because one, when I first got into college, I didn't know about the college life, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't go to my mom and be like, Mom, what do I do with this application? How do I do this? How should I develop my studying skills around, like, I didn't have that. I had to pretty much learn all this stuff for myself. And it, progressively gotten easier as time went on, but I still had a little shock here and there, a little shaking. But when it got to my master's, it was completely different because, like, okay, now I'm being introduced into thesis and capstone, and everybody's like going off of all these abbreviations that they assume that and it's just like this guy, my teacher, my professor, he kept saying CPSI, and I'm just like, what's CPSI? And then he's like, oh, and then he goes to tell me, and then I see like it's on the syllabus. I'm just like, oh, okay, but we didn't read through this yet. But then there's where one professor had asked me, he was like, oh, where you came from? You're a transfer student? I'm like, yes, first time here. Where you came from? I said, Brockward. He's like, oh, what were you studying there? I was like, criminal justice. He's like, I know, okay, well, what specifically? I'm like, there wasn't nothing specific. Like, my curriculum from MCC up was pretty broad. Like, I touched every topic. I didn't study nothing. Like, I didn't study court specifically or correction specifically. You know what I'm saying? Like, I pretty much dabbled on every topic. And then I've even indulged into some other, like, I got a psychology minor, got into some sociology class, some social science classes, psychology classes, even African American study classes, like, because I want to be diverse in all different aspects, you know what I'm saying? But I had to break it down to him, like, I'm coming in here with a broad, pretty much I'm coming in here with a broad, mindset. Like, I don't really have, like, nothing narrowed down specifically. But what I've learned is that a lot of the students, they call them BSMS or something like that, where it pretty much rose, like, their bachelor rose into their master's degree. And a lot of them pretty much like done singled out, like zoomed in exactly what it is they want to do, which I know what it is that I want to do. However, I'm glad that I never really took a specific, zoomed in before, because then it would have kind of like not worked out for me, because I probably would have been more into law enforcement side versus where I want to be now, which is legal to utilize for politics. You see what I'm saying? But everything was a culture shock, because I was like, what? Like, all these, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that's like more, they're more like knowledgeable in what specifically they want to do. Like, most of these people are like, they passed having an idea of what they're going to do with the capstone. This is a matter of like putting the pieces together. I'm still like getting the knowledge of what a capstone is, so everything is different. And when you're trying to, develop a conversation, because like, here's a perfect analogy, compared to the military. I know the military because I experienced the military. So in the military, when I got around non-military members and I would talk about my experiences in the military, the different weapons, the different names of our, modes of transportation, all that's, the military jargon, and what we call civilians like, what, like question marks going off in the head. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand that lingo. And I feel like that's the same like barrier that I have with friends and family. You know what I'm saying? When I talk to people, I would say friends, because I don't really throw that friendship term around loosely. With me, this is like death. Like, you got to prove yourself to be my friend. Like, we got to get in some stuff. You show yourself worthy with friends, So I say friends. What I really mean is acquaintances. But yeah, I talk to these people, and it's because it's like, this is what I know, but they don't know it. And because there's that language barrier, they're not interested in learning. And then it's just like, okay, so then I feel like the conversation's always getting blocked. Like, we don't want to hear that. Get out of here. But then you got a lot of times I get those difficult people that's always like, man, if I talk about some dramatic, like, yo, so-and-so was at your job and somebody slapped so-and-so, and then you had to call security and mother freak, and the fight was so bad that titties came out and butt cheeks was all over the place and turds was flying. The conversation, you can just dive right on in. Like, I'll have your full undivided attention. But then when I talk about, educational stuff that doesn't pertain to you because it's not in your journey, path, Then there's ridicule. And I don't understand why people get envious of other people. And then you get envious to the point of destruction, where it's like you're demolishing friendships, relationships, because it's almost like you hate the person for having something that you don't have. The same opportunities I have, you do have. It's just our journey to acquire it is going to be different. So if you've experienced anything of the sort, let me know, because I'm still trying to, gather my thoughts. I keep trying to tell myself, try to, word yourself so you don't come off as judgy. But people need to realize, like, we're not judging. You know what I'm saying? Your own insecurities is what is prohibiting your relationships from thriving with people that are in higher statuses than you. Because me personally, I aspire to be a billionaire at some point. I would love to be a billionaire. But if God didn't allow me to see it, so be it. Do I see other people that has billions of dollars, millions of dollars, and then I look at them and I wonder, like, you know what? I would love, and then all these ideas come up, and you can do this, and the third to get to that point. Would love to get there. And sometimes I find myself like, oh, I want that. But then when you let that negativity start to come in, where it's like altering you, and you're hating people for having something that you don't have, when it's like, dude, what they supposed to do? Sit in the rut so you can be happy with yourself? You know what I'm saying? So you can be content with yourself? That's not how it works. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you've experienced it, let me know what you think. How did you deal with it? I'm still trying to deal with it. I'm working on the relationships. They aren't the best. However, I'm hoping things change in the future. So let me know what you think. Deuce.